Help me ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome back to the Hermit's Cave. How is everybody doing? I have a lovely cup of tea. This is spiced chai and it is delightful. I picked it up from Whittard's and it's loose leaf tea. I use my Brudini and beautiful, beautiful drink. Anyway, I'm really excited to be jumping on today because, as you know, the Vacchetta, this is the Il Manigello, and this is actually my backup copy because my working copy is getting a little bit battered now. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous deck, but I did have an accident with one of the cards, and it's only when you put them side by side that you can see which one it is, and it's got a bit scuffed, but it makes for the thing is with Il Manigello decks, the more you use them, the softer the deck becomes. This is a stunning Italian deck, absolutely love it. So I did get a backup a couple of years after I had this one, and I started to see that it was getting a little bit worn, but and that was because years ago I had Tower of the Master by Lo Scarabeo, and if you know this story, if you've been around my channel for a while, you might have heard it. I got it and I didn't like the keywords down the sides and I didn't like the backs, and I took it to my friend Kelly Bear in London when we first got together back in 2018, and she helped me modify it. She trimmed the edges and did a fantastic job, even using scissors. I was in such awe. But then I decided to back it with contact paper to cover the unsightly backs, and then edge it, but I used a metallic paint pen and they just all clumped together, and as much as I thought that they would settle down and dry over time, they never did, and it just became a mess, and I ended up having to throw it away, which broke my heart because the Tower of the Master had gone out of print by Lo Scarabeo. If you saw my video just before Christmas, I'd gone on a Christmas works do, and I went into Curious Goods in Chesterfield and they had a copy right at the back on their shelf, and I was beyond excited. I still struggle with the keywords down one side. In fact, let's bring the camera down a little bit. Yeah, so it still does have the keywords down one side in multiple languages. They're not too bad. Not when you compare them to the classic tarot that also did this. I don't know why they do it, because the ancient Italian, which is, I always see these as like a thruple, they don't do that for the ancient Italian. So, and I love it. I love the fact they have a different back as well, because this one has this on the back, and you know, it's okay, but I prefer like a patterned back rather than an image from the card, and this one's reversed. However, it used to be a sepia toned back, like this. So on the classic tarot, they did it with the star card here in sepia tone, and then a later edition, they did it in colour. They released it in colour. I mean, like I said, I would prefer just a pattern back. But, so I was able to get this, and I thought, I'm not modifying it because it's now out of print. It's hard to get, so, you know, it's staying as is. And it has done. It's lived on my desk since I got it just before Christmas. And it felt like a Christmas gift from the universe, finding this deck that is out of print. However, roll over Vacchetta, roll over Tower of the Master, because there is a new kid on the block. And I mean, I'm joking. I don't want them to roll over. I love the Il Meneghello Vacchetta. Don't get me wrong. That's, you know, chef's kiss. The lovely Nix from Key Features did a VR to my tag a couple of weeks ago, which was the Tarot Tubers A to Z evolution. And it's third outing. The first one was, you know, get to know your tarot tubers, and the hashtag was tarot tubers A to Z. And you follow the alphabet, A to Z, answering questions linked to that letter of the alphabet. And they're kind of tarot and spirituality themed. And then I did a second one 3 years later, which was evolution, tarot tubers A to Z evolution. No, I didn't. Next gen 3 years later, because between those 3 years there was a huge surge in people starting channels. I thought it would be good to revisit this, and you know, and then 3 years after, so you know, now that's when I did the next generation. Anyway, Nix, and thank you to everybody that's taken part so far. Nix from Key Features did a VR, which was excellent, and she was pulling out decks, and she showed a Tarot of the Master that had no keywords on the sides and had a really nice back. So I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. Loving the VR, but I'm just pausing this to say, where on earth did you get that deck? And she sent me a link. So I clicked on the link, and it has taken a couple of weeks because I ordered it straight away, and it was around 2 weeks ago that Nix did the VR. And I've just got home from work and it's arrived. It doesn't come in a box, but it comes in this velveteen bag, which is really nice. It's got a little card that says, thank you for your purchase. More Tarot, Oracle, Lenormand, Rune and I Ching decks you can buy online at Tarot Oracle Store. And tax-free and worldwide shipping. Now, I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it wasn't that expensive. It was no more expensive than your average mass market deck. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. I've not opened them yet, but these are the backs. Look how beautiful they are. I love them. So, it is opened on one side. I'm just hoping that all the cards are here. I'm sure there will be, but you know, with not being in a box, you can't be 100% sure. But yeah, I thought we could take a look. Pop that there. So we have the title card here, Tarot of the Master. It's a nice, just like the Lo Scarabeo cards, is it? Maybe a little bit thinner. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit thinner. Nothing, I'm putting cards on the wrong pile there. Nothing, you know, you wouldn't hold this and think, oh, that's not very nice card stock. And then we've got Tarot of the Master is a reprint of an Italian tarot deck first published in 1893. And this is the Italian edition. So we've got Il Matto, etc. So it tells you the title's in English and what it is in Italian. So you've got a guide there if you did struggle with that. But what I thought we would do, and it's not a side by side, I'm just going to pull the full card from this. Although I've got there it is. That wasn't too bad. You can see the colour differences. But isn't it great that I quite like the colours as well that have been used. I just think it's great not to have, and as I said, they weren't too obtrusive really. But that's a nice job. I mean, look, the colours actually are quite rich compared to the Il Meneghello version. And that's just such an improvement on the backs, isn't it? So as I mentioned, we do have the Magician reversed, and it was kind of the theme with Lo Scarabeo back then. It used to be, as I said, sepia, and then they changed it to colour, but yeah, this seems more richer. Exactly the same card size. Maybe, yeah, it's a smidge smaller, but not a massive amount smaller. So, yeah, I'm just over the moon, absolutely over the moon that a deck that's now gone out of print is available again. I think it's still available at, I think it's still available at Il Meneghello. I'm assuming so. They do, even though they're numbered, they then do a new batch usually. I'm wondering whether to edge these in maroon. I think I will, because there's a border on the back and on the front, so even if there's a little bit of bleeding, that would finish it off nicely, wouldn't it? That's just dropped out. So if you're the first time here and you don't know much about this deck, I'll just briefly talk about it as I'm showing the cards. So the original artist for this was Giovanni Vacchetta. He's an Italian sculptor, academic, designer, and this deck was first published in Turin in 1893, I think, from memory. I think it was 1893. And as it's, oh, actually, it will say on the Il Meneghello box. Oh, it doesn't. It just says that this is the E-Nibi di Giovanni Vacchetta. It doesn't put a date, unless it does on the inside on one of the info cards. Yes, 1893. Good memory, Simon. Yeah, so first published in 1893 in Turin, and beautiful colours. Now, I think originally, because there is a Lo Scarabeo, you know, the Anima Antica version that was a sketch version. I think colour was added later. And I know the Lo Scarabeo one was, colour was added in 2002. So, and this is one of those beautiful Italian decks, which has strong, obviously, Marseille influence, but it's not a Marseille deck, and the configuration of the pips are different, and they're semi-scenic as well. And it's beautiful because it's not a themed tarot deck, it's a reproduction of a genuine 19th century Italian tarot. And it's called Tarot of the Master because he was a master. You know, he was, like I said, a sculptor and an artist. And it's beautiful for its symbolism, cultural expression, the art style. I love me, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. I love me the Italian decks. This one in particular, I love it. It's a blend of medieval iconography and late 19th century academic art. And that's, I think, its most striking features. And the figures almost feel sculptural, which really reflect Vacchetta's background. I would say that the Lo Scarabeo version tends to have lots of soft greens, pale blues. I'm just looking at there is a more saturation and a readiness to this one. Yeah, so this one has lots of soft greens, pale blues, muted greys, lavenders, and it does have this kind of dreamy antique wash. Whereas this one has more of a bold contrast, I would say. but it's so beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy. And this is where I think the deck really comes into its own, because when you think back to 1893, you know, predates Golden Dawn and the RWS tarot by, what are we talking, 16 years? But we do see here that they're not plain pips. They're not fully scenic like the RWS, but they're not purely pip like the Marseille. It sits somewhere in between. Isn't it gorgeous? And now cups, little monkey. What's his name? Giovanni Vacchetta, Torino. Oh, and there's the date there. It's so so rich in colour. And our sword suit. I'm not saying too much about the artwork because I've only just done a full walkthrough in December, and there was one previously when I first got the deck, and also every time I bought a Il Meneghello deck. So there's only so much I can say about it. I just wanted to share that if you did see the video in December and disappointed that, you know, it's gone out of stock, be disappointed no more. Here's our coins. And these depict Roman emperors. There we are. Isn't it great? I love the way as well that Giovanni Vacchetta signs himself into the deck. I think its strengths are, you know, the deep historical authenticity of the deck. You really get a unique artistic voice It is so different. It's a great bridge between Marseille and modern decks, and just has this really nice subtle energy to it. I guess its limitations, if there are any really, but not beginner friendly if you rely on RWS meanings. But that's all I can think of. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful deck. It does feel a little bit of like a museum piece, but it's one that you can actually read with. It's quiet, it's intellectual, just beautiful and rooted in art history rather than occult systems as well. So yeah, let's think about an edging that we can look at. Oh, I think I've already seen the colour. Are we thinking this one? Let's have a look. I think it would be. This is number 1 as well. Wine red. Yes. This has so many references to grapes, so wine red would, I think, would be a good match. What do you think? All right, let's do this. All right, so you do have to, I do find that you need a good 24 hours for any sort of darker areas to settle down. You get that lovely blend. But this is a really great match. As I mentioned, it is wine red, and it matches these backs and fronts really well. Beautiful. And it applied really easily. It was just like painting, just gorgeous. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the finished result for that. What do you think? And what do you think to the deck? I think this is a great great alternative. Let's go to show one of the minors, shall we? The trouble is they're not going to be in order now, but this one is nice, but it does feel, like I said, more subtle. And by subtle, I mean in terms of the line work and the shading of the colours. So this feels more rich. That one a little bit less saturated. So great addition. And I was talking about the cardstock being a little bit thinner, but actually when you put them together like this, side by side, that's not the case at all. It's actually thicker, but the cards felt a little bit, but clearly not. These are thinner. So yeah, unless these are puffed up a little bit because I've added the colour to the edges. But love it. Thank you, Nix, for sharing this. Thank you everybody for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll put a link to where you can get that, which is the link that Nix shared with me. All right, until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.